that. But obviously your name's in the discussion, and it's just interesting that now I'm old enough and people are coming in who are younger than me.
It's kind of like whenever your doctor is younger
Yeah,
than you and your
Bobby
dentist.
Jindal was the first person I interviewed who was younger than me. So just generally, you're here today doing a number of events for Senator Ernst. You're a colleague, fellow veteran. What's the closing case for Senator Ernst? People will start voting here on Tuesday.
Yeah. So for me, Joni is not just a colleague in the Senate, but a good and close personal friend of mine and my wife. She's even come over to babysit our kids, so we can have the occasional date night. So we trust Joni with the most important things in our life, just like the people of Iowa trusted Joni to represent.
You have two sons, right?
We do, yeah. So she's been taking care of Gabriel and Anna Gabriel and Daniel on a few occasions, so Anna and I could go out for a date night. But the people of Iowa entrusted her 6 years ago with a great public trust as well, which is to represent them in the Senate. And she's been a tireless advocate for Iowa's veterans and their troops, being a combat veteran herself, for Iowa's farm families and their factory workers, and for the communities across Iowa. And I think this is really going to be the center of the political universe. It's not just the president must win Iowa to get reelected, but Joni Ernst must be reelected if we're going to hold the Senate majority. And we've seen some of the radical ideas that the Democrats have floated if they win the majority of things like packing the Supreme Court, or making Washington, D.C. a state, or granting a massive amnesty to 15 million illegal immigrants. I don't think that's what Iowa wants, and I know that's not what most Americans want.
Do you think Iowa should retain its first-in-the-nation status in the presidential nominating process?
I think it's a great tradition. Iowans have proven themselves time and again a very, very discerning judgment in our presidential primaries and caucuses, and I see no reason why we would change that tradition.
With the Supreme Court soon to be with a 6-3 conservative majority, what would your prediction be about a post-Roe United States? Do you think we'll get to a post-Roe United States, and how soon do you think we might be there?
Yeah, so I wouldn't hazard to speculate about any particular case that might be hypothetically filed years from now, but as Judge Barrett said at the White House on Saturday, what we will expect are justices on the Supreme Court who will have Justice Scalia's philosophy, ones who are faithful to the Constitution and the law as it's written, one who don't impose their personal preferences on the law, and that's what we needed for a long time. And I think Judge Barrett's confirmation as Justice Barrett will cement that kind of Supreme Court majority. And what it'll mean is that people in Iowa, the people in Arkansas, people around the country will have more control over their own decisions on vital questions.
There was a major story in the New York Times yesterday on President Trump's tax returns. It's an exhaustive story. President Trump has said that story is just fake. He's just dismissed the whole story. Do you agree with President Trump that entire story should be dismissed?
Well, first, I'll say the New York Times purports to have accessed the president's tax documents. I don't know how they would have done that, but they're not releasing any of those documents. So I hesitate to take everything that the New York Times reports on faith without them releasing the underlying documents they have. I mean, this is the same paper, for instance, that published Jason Blair's reporting on the DC sniper and Jessica Lynch, or that published Walter Duranty's reports from Stalin's Russia. All that said, I feel like the New York Times published this story 4 years ago, and the president has explained at times that, look, when you are involved in high-risk real estate development, sometimes you have really successful years where you pay tens of millions of dollars in taxes. Some years you have losses where you end up paying nothing. It all kind of averages out in the long run. But I would hesitate to take the New York Times reporting on faith without knowing what is in those underlying documents.
Last question.
Voter turnout's always huge, no matter what election it is. So between those on the left concerned about mail-in ballots and the security of that, and then with a number of ballots in favor of Trump, these reports of showing up in ditches, as political pressure kind of picks up and the heat kind of picks up, I guess if you could talk a little bit about voter confidence.
So I want everyone, whether they're in Iowa, in Arkansas, or in any other state across the union, to get out to vote. And I want them to do it in a safe manner that makes them comfortable. So they need to have a plan to vote, whether that means voting on election day, voting in early voting periods, or using absentee ballots. Many states like Arkansas have gone to no excuse absentee ballots, so you don't have to actually say you're going to be physically absent or unable to get to the polls. Almost every state has an absentee ballot system that they're used to using. That's an easily verified system where a voter requests a ballot, a county clerk sends the ballot, the voter receives it and returns it. at every step, people are expecting the next step, and there's a trail that can be audited. What I think poses a real threat for not just voter fraud, but just voter confusion or complications in tabulation of votes are states that have no history of mass mailing out of unsolicited ballots, and they don't have the machinery, they don't have the infrastructure, they don't have the staffing to be able to count those ballots in a timely and organized fashion. That's what the president said he's worried about, and I'm worried about as well. So any states that have taken steps to significantly expand mail-out voting, I think ought to look too at taking steps to maybe counting them a little bit earlier, verifying them a little bit earlier on election day, or maybe even a day or two before election day, so we don't have a situation where millions of ballots are still left to be counted after election day itself.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Hey, is there
Yeah. Yeah, right here.